Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Mitch McCoy. It's just after 11:40 here at KARK4 and Fox 16. Strong storms are possible later today as we take a live look near downtown Little Rock this morning. And we have Arkansas Storm Team meteorologist Hayden Nick standing by. He's giving us a weather update here. Hayden, not going to lie, the storms earlier today woke me up overnight, even lost power for a brief minute.
Yeah, I think you were not the only one. I certainly woke up from the loud and multiple loud claps of thunder. And that was one thing we were talking about with that first wave that was going to be coming in. It was really going to be a noisemaker more than anything else. Thankfully, nearly all of it stayed below severe limits. Now, we did have two storms in particular that had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings on it. And that was around 11 to 1 to 2 a.m. when those occurred down in far southwestern Arkansas. And I think both even had reports of golf ball size hail. And that was going to be very isolated. That verified quite nicely. And then we said, as we were leading into today, that opportunity for the ongoing rainfall overnight that could help us see less of a severe weather potential. It almost sounds like a repeat of last week, but I can't stress this enough of how fortunate we are that this actually can happen for us, because the latest information from the Storm Prediction Center has even shifted some of the higher end of the risk out of Arkansas. So this just came out a few moments ago, and you can see our neighbors to the east definitely need our thoughts and prayers in this situation, because they are once again under a high risk, same almost general area that was just a week ago on St. Patrick's Day. The high risk covering much of northeast Mississippi, northern Alabama, and areas of Tennessee. Then outside of that, the red, orangish color, that's the moderate risk, spanning from just south central Alabama through Jackson, northeastward towards Nashville. And then for us back at home, we have that enhanced risk that's right there along the Mississippi River, just outside of the Little Rock viewing area. But for Arkansans who may be watching in our eastern Arkansas, Chico County really is the only one that is under that. And then the slight risk continues back westward a little bit. And then Little Rock, the metro, is now under the marginal risk. Earlier this morning, we were under the enhanced, and now we're under the marginal. That's how much benefit that we have gotten from the overnight activity. Yes, it made a lot of noise, but I think we could take that and run with it compared to what we could have been dealing with. Now, I'm saying all this to say that the risk is lower, but we're certainly not out of the woods just yet. So let's go down, and I'm going to go ahead and load up what we have for forecast track and give you an idea of how this will continue to move along throughout the rest of this afternoon. So I think it's doing a pretty good job here. This is one of the many models that we use as guidance to help us get an idea of how the future may play out with the atmosphere. And I've been watching this one for consistency and seeing if there are any hiccups that it could be presenting itself. But so far, I think it's got a pretty good grasp on the handle of what's going to be taking place. So notice as we go to around 2 o'clock, we'll see the core of that low working its way through northwestern Arkansas. And I stop it at 2 o'clock to point out that we could see a couple of thunderstorms trying to generate right there along the cold front. But I will say at this point, there's not a lot of energy that's storm fuel to work with. So while they could briefly become a thunderstorm, it's not going to be able to have a lot to work with. We've got winds that aren't going to be a favorable direction or strength to help maintain any severity status with this. So it's still very limited. And with that, we're focusing just right here along the eastern third of the state. So let me go ahead and just draw this on here. So if we had an imaginary line and we drew it from North Arkansas down all the way to Ashley County in far south Arkansas, we're talking about anywhere from along this line to the east would be the area that we would focus on any potential that's left in the state for a strong to severe thunderstorm. You can see by 4 o'clock, going into the 6 o'clock hour, it continues to weaken. We've got a very small window of opportunity to work with. So for this afternoon, I would say any chance for a strong to possibly severe thunderstorm will range from 1 o'clock, but no later than 6 p.m. So very small, very brief, and limited to really the eastern third of the state. Now, what could we deal with these thunderstorms here? Well, right now, the primary factors, we have dropped them down a little bit, but still remain the key points: large hail and winds up to 60 miles per hour. So large hail, we could have around an inch to maybe golf ball size hail, so that's a little bit more than that. High winds up to 60 miles per hour. And the tornado threat is still lower, but not absolutely zero. We may have one that could briefly form, and that would be right there before it starts to head into areas of Tennessee and Mississippi. Once we get past 6 o'clock, the rain is done in the state. And for most people, it will be done well before that. We're just talking about the last showers exiting northeastern Arkansas. and then we're done. And we've got a beautiful Friday on the way. I'll go ahead and move back forward to what we're looking at for Friday into Saturday. A really nice forecast. We'll have for Saturday a warm front lifting northward, one that we'll have to watch because it may bring enough back in to work with to bring an opportunity for a couple of thunderstorms that may form across the south half of the state. And I know that's when the Arkansas game is going to be played on TBS. So we'll have to make sure to address that. We're not going to be breaking into the basketball game, but I want to make sure people are aware that not only the could be watching the game, but they need to keep an eye. We'll have updates on air online about that if we continue to see a growing concern. But for now, it still looks to be on the low end side of things. Hail and wind would be the primary factors with Saturday. So we've got our current severe weather situation that is really for the eastern third of the state that's wrapping up at this time over the next few hours. And then we'll kind of look ahead to Saturday where we could have that front lifting up and maybe causing a little bit of trouble then. Mitch?
Well, we've really dodged a bullet here, Hayden, not just last week, but this week as well. At least that's what it's leaning toward. So it sounds like if we got startled a little bit by the storms overnight, maybe lost a few minutes of sleep, on my case, maybe an hour, it was well worth it because it lowered the chances of severe weather later today, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah, so it's lowered it, but not zeroed it out. So we're still looking at an opportunity for a couple of thunderstorms that could become strong to severe. So with that probability means we're not expecting numerous severe thunderstorms, like just one or two. So we've really dropped the ability for more frequent concern for that. And so as we move into the afternoon hours, I think we're looking pretty solid to see that remain pretty limited. So you can see there's a little bit of formation at this time right there in eastern Oklahoma. That's going to be what we have to watch as that continues to expand eastward. And that 2 o'clock when I paused it on forecast track is those set of storms right there. So once we watch those and see how they behave, those really don't look like they're going to mess with us, then we're going to be in good shape. But for now, there are no watches in effect across Arkansas, but we are again saying between 1 and 5 o'clock today, we'll need to make sure to just keep a close eye on the couple thunderstorms that may try to cause some trouble. But from there afterwards, we're shutting things down and going quiet for the rest of the night.
And no concerns for folks in Heber Springs with that storm that's tracking their way?
Well, I'll go ahead and zoom in on it for you, but we're looking at right now really nothing to fuss with over this one, just a good downpour. And yeah, I've got lightning turned on and we're not getting any lightning reports out of this. So a shower, non-severe, and no lightning or thunder with it at this time.
That's good news. Good news. Hayden, it's obviously a good time. Keep the eye on the sky, but for the most part, it does look like from everything that you guys are telling us, the chances of severe weather are decreasing, but still not out of the woods yet.
Absolutely. So just for the next several hours here, we'll watch this event wrap up. But don't forget, we're in the springtime, so Arkansas weather will be changing once again, and we'll have another chance, as I mentioned, on Saturday that we'll be watching closely, and then we'll just head on and see what happens after that.
Well, you mentioned it's Arkansas. Is there any snow in the forecast? No, I'm kidding.
Not for the next 7 days. I can say for a guarantee on that.
Okay. Hey, Hayden Nix, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. The next weather update coming your way at noon on KRK4. On Arkansas Today on all of the NBC stations in Arkansas. Hayden Nix is tracking your statewide forecast, and he'll have a pretty good timeline of the storms that are making their way even right through Heber Springs, where we were talking about that storm right there that Hayden was just telling us about. He'll have another update on that, and of course he'll have a good statewide perspective on everything across the state. Again, coming up at noon on KRK4 Today, that is when Hayden Nix will have the next weather update. It's always a good reminder, folks, now is the time to just be aware, be weather aware. Live updates at noon on KRK4 updates, KRK.com, Fox16.com. Download the Arkansas Storm Team app. We will send alerts straight to your smartphone, and of course follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll of course send updates to all of our social media platforms there. For now, I'm Mitch McCoy. I hope you have a good rest of your morning. Again, Hayden Nix has your full forecast in about 10 minutes on every NBC station in Arkansas and Arkansas Today. Have a good rest of your day.